All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, we have quite the fight going down as part of BKFC Fight Night, which transpires on April the 21st. We have Bruce Lutchmedial getting out there, knuckling up and towing the line opposite Tom Shoaff, and happy to be talking to Tom once again. How's your day going so far there, man?
Going pretty good, man. I've had a pretty good day today. I got up, got a little bit of workout in, came in, taught some classes, just hanging out at the gym waiting for my evening to start. How's your day going?
No, my day's going well for sure, and I'm wondering how much you enjoy that part of it, just getting to teach people different technique and stuff like that. Does it inform your own understanding of the techniques even more? Do you enjoy the communal aspect of it? Is it both of those things? Can you talk about that a bit?
Oh, absolutely. So I've probably got one of those weird startup stories where I really never wanted to be a fighter. I started fighting and I got into fighting because my love is coaching. I love to coach. And I knew that if I wanted to be a halfway respectable fighter, when it was time for me to retire and be a full-time coach, or rephrase, if I wanted to be a halfway respectable coach, I would need to be a fighter. I need to have the experience of being there and know how to guide people through the experiences. But yeah, my real love is coaching. I'm not the biggest fan of fighting. It takes too much damage on me, but I love to coach. I really do.
Well, that's a really cool thing you articulated there. It's almost like your pursuit of competition is wanting to be a credible enough teacher to get people coming in and everything like that. So that's what inspired the competitive journey, largely?
Absolutely. Yeah, everybody wants to learn from somebody who's been there and who's done that. And as somebody who plans on teaching people how to fight, I should probably have a bit of a background in fighting myself. So yeah, the goal was always to coach and the goal was always to be an instructor. So my fight career has just been my way of solidifying my fight IQ going down the road.
Yeah, well, that's a cool thing to be doing for sure and everything like that. And I mean, you've been with BKFC for a little bit now, really established yourself in that space, and it seems like the momentum is pretty strong. I mean, putting together back-to-back BKFC wins for the first time there. You've always been an experienced, higher-level guy in the division, but do you feel like you have more momentum in your favor now than ever before?
Absolutely. I've been with bare knuckle now for about 4 years. I was at their first show in 2018. I fought on their second show, and I've been with them ever since. I messed up coming into this organization like a lot of fighters do, especially MMA fighters, and not wanting to cut weight. I didn't pull a lot of weight, didn't want to cut a lot of weight, didn't think that the weight would be a disadvantage to me, and I was wrong. So my record kind of bounced back and forth quite a bit. But now I'm down at 155 pounds. I'm where I should be. I'm fast, I'm healthy, I'm strong. And yeah, I've been able to rally two back-to-back knockouts. And, I'm looking forward to getting a third one here on April 21st.
Yeah, and you've got the 7 BKFC bouts now, and then like you were saying with the promotion very early on from the jump there, and now just the Triller purchase dynamic happening. Seems like a lot of big growth and everything, and I mean just so many standout moments. Do you have a moment so far that you would cite as the biggest, or is it one of those the biggest is yet to come kind of things? Because you were on that BKFC 6 card as well, and you had those classics with Diego Garijo as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know, man. I think that I think I've had a great start for this organization, and I've done a lot of good things for myself in the sense of people know I'm tough. People know I can go out there and fight. People know I can take shots, and people know I can go out and perform. But the problem is I took a lot of losses going out and proving all of that. So now I feel like I'm in a position where I'm in the right weight class. Like we had said before, all the momentum's behind me, and I'm doing all of the things I need to do properly. So I genuinely feel like the best is yet to come. I think after this third finish that I go out and get in in April on the 21st, I go out and I get this third finish. That solidifies me in the top of the division at 155 pounds. And I feel like then at that point, there's only two options for Tom. You know, it's either a title contention fight or a title fight. And with that being said, then that, like I said, it just solidifies for me that the best is yet to come.
Yeah, and I'm inclined to think that as well. I think you're very much in close proximity to achieving those goals. And just, you know, with the rankings kind of coming out there a little bit ago, do you have any thoughts on that? It seemed like it caused a bit of a stir with some people there and everything like that. Like, what were your thoughts on the BKFC rankings? Did you check them out, or?
Yeah, I saw them. I was a little, I don't know, I guess you could say I was a little frustrated or irritated by them. I don't understand how Chad Mendez is ranked number one. I don't understand how Bobby Taylor and what's his name, Martin Brown are still in the top five, considering they're both coming off losses. You know, it's just, there's a lot as far as like my bracket is concerned, my weight class is concerned, that I just didn't agree with. But I feel like that was how most people took the rankings. You know, I think they were looking at the last 6 months of activity and seeing who was active and who wasn't, and they just kind of pulled some names out of their asses. But that's just my personal opinion. I don't know. I don't agree with the rankings. I don't see how Chad Mendez can come in and beat a fucking nobody and be ranked number one. I beat two nobodies, and I'm not even ranked, you know? So I don't see how that's possible. And like I said, they've got other two guys. They've got, you know, Bobby Taylor and Martin Brown. They're both coming off losses. Like, how are you still in the top five, you know, if you're coming off of a loss? Anyway, moral of the story, that horse is good and dead. I didn't agree. I saw the rankings, and I didn't agree with them. And that's fine. You know, I'll just go out and prove everybody wrong on the 21st and solidify my spot in the top of the division.
Yeah, well, I think with like getting like a 3-fight win streak and beating an opponent like Bruce Lutchmedial, who's had a couple BKFC fights so far and pretty experienced through like a multitude of combat disciplines from what I could tell, I would think that would give you a spot in the rankings. Or is that not even something you're really thinking about just because like the initial rollout, like you said, it seemed like a lot of people were kind of like, I don't know about this here. But so is that still like a focus point, and as far as like getting that to facilitate a title shot, or are you just kind of like, whatever, if I'm in there, whatever, it's subjective at the end of the day?
I'm going to have to go with the latter on that one. It is subjective, and in the grand scheme of things, the only rank that matters is champion. Number one, number two, number three, all that stuff, it's really not important. They're going to pull contenders out whenever they want to pull contenders out. You're not always going to fight the number one guy or the number two guy. You're not always going to move up the ladder lineally. So, no, the rankings in the grand scheme of things aren't important. The only rank that matters is whether or not I have that belt around my waist. And again, after this next finish, that's where I'm headed. That's what I want, and that's the fight I'm looking for.
Yeah, and you were talking a bit earlier about how you kind of found like the ideal weight division here and stuff like that, like kind of like proving yourself in the early stages, but now this is like a pursuant of a title, like ideal weight category kind of thing. It seems like too you've been able to also have like the high octane style with that too. I mean, because sometimes you'll see guys have like a bit of like a mixed kind of run in a certain sense, and then maybe have a more conservative kind of game plan with it. But it seems like you've kind of maintained the confluence of like success, and then also, you know, last time out garnering the fight of the night distinction there and stuff like that. Is that a bit of a thing to manage sometimes at all? Like, or do you find like you're right in the pocket with like having like high octane exciting fights, but also like a fair bit of like fight IQ underpinning it and being thoughtful with the whole process and everything?
Honestly, man, I think that's just the way that I fight. I'm always thinking in there. I'm always trying to take as little damage as possible. I'm always trying to be intelligent and have a high fight IQ. But personally, I just like to fight. I'm just a scrappy guy, and I don't mind getting hit. I mean, as much as I, talked about earlier, like I don't like fighting, and it was kind of my segue to coaching. That is absolutely true. But I also am of the personality of I don't mind fighting. I will get into a fight, and I will get into those high octane back and forth battles. And it doesn't bother me. I truly feel like I do better in those situations, or I put on better performances when I have somebody who's actually trying to hurt me. in a sense, you know. I don't know. I just think that stylistically, that's just how I am. I want to go out there and I want to get in your face and I want to fight you. I'm not here to score points. I'm not here to get a judge's decision. I'm not here to do any of that. My job is to fight you, and that's what I want to do. I think the best way that I could sum it up or analyze it is many years ago, my coach, Jason Sullins, told me some people use technique to fight, and some people fight using technique. I don't use technique to fight. I'm going to fight you and use some technique in the process. So that's my mentality on that. I think that's just how I am, man. I'm always guns blazing in your face, ready to take a shot just so I can give you 3 or 4 more. I think that's just in my bones.
Yeah, I love the insight into like the competition mindset, but it seems like the mental aspect of the game also comes through in like how you just generally prepare and acclimate yourself with things. Like it seems like you've kind of like really sunk your teeth into like the, I guess, historical components as well. Like I saw you at the Bare Knuckle Hall of Fame in Belfast there, and you with the John L. Sullivan heavy bag and stuff like that. Like as important as it is to, I guess, figure out this ever-evolving game with like the BKFC clinch positions, etc. Is there also an importance to learning the, I guess, historical underpinnings of bare knuckle?
I think regardless of situation or circumstance, studying and understanding the history of anything that you're involved with is incredibly important. I was fortunate enough to watch the history of MMA when I was involved in that scene. You know, I was around when UFC 1 happened. I was with the kids sitting on the couch when the first Ultimate Fighter happened. You know, I watched the evolution of MMA. Bare knuckle is something that up until 4 years ago was brand new to me. So it's something that I've had to kind of dig deep into the research and, you know, figure out who guys like Jack Kilrain are and John L. Sullivan and things like that. And, you know, really start to understand where the sport came from and how it started. That way you can know where it's going. So yeah, to get back to it, understanding the history of anything that you're doing, I feel is vital to success.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Was the mighty facial hair there kind of derivative of that era of bare knuckle too, or are you just rocking the lip guard just cause?
That was so my buddy Eddie Wineland started the Mustache Mafia, and he took it to the UFC, and he got a bunch of people kind of involved with it, and I started fighting. I started doing the bare knuckle stuff not too long after that. So he basically forced it upon me. He said, look, man, we're friends. You got to be part of the Mafia, but on top of that, you can't fight bare knuckle and not have a mustache. So it has become the persona of Tom now.
Yeah, you love to see it. It's a fun time for sure there. But one of the last times we were talking, and it's been a while, admittedly, but like you were working with Leonard Garcia a fair bit, it seemed like. I mean, he's since retired, obviously, and great career for sure. But like, who are some of the people nowadays that you're like training bare knuckle aspects with and stuff like that?
You know, I've had the benefit of being able to work with a handful of people that compete in bare knuckle. I've worked consistently with guys like Brandon Johnson, Boss Hog. I've worked consistently with Leonard Garcia, Art Parker, who's a heavyweight. Guys like that. Recently, Chevy Bridges has reached out and he wants to start working with me. And there's a couple other guys that kind of reach out and chat shit every now and again. But to be honest with you, the predominance of my training is done just with my coach, me and my old man, Andy Pierce. We spend 3 or 4 days a week together, just going over game plan, going over theory, idea, you know, and just messing with stuff, just trying to figure out what works and what doesn't, and where I have advantages and you know, where my openings are. I don't really spar a lot. I at most once a week. I don't do a lot of partner anything, I guess is the best way to describe it. Like I said, I've had offers for a lot of bare knuckle people reaching out and wanting to work and stuff like that, and I've been happy to help out the ones that I have helped. But when it comes to me and my own personal training, I like to do things alone. and that's just the way that it's always been. I feel if I put the responsibility on me, there's nobody else to blame. So I don't know. I guess that's the best way that I can describe it. I don't put in a lot of work with other fighters when I'm actually in camp. It's not something that I do.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I understand that. I mean, it gives you that, like, onus on yourself, be accountable sort of thing. I get what you're laying down.
Yeah, you know, like, absolutely. It makes me accountable, and it puts me in a different mindset. I feel like when I'm working with other people, there's always that great camaraderie of, like, you know, you guys are both pushing each other to be better and this, that, and the other, but I find that once that becomes the pattern, I'm pushing myself to be better than my training partner, not pushing myself to be better than me. And that's a real tricky thing to do, because if you're just naturally better than your training partner, you're always going to be better than your training partner, you know? So you never really have to work that hard to be better than that person. Whereas if I'm constantly working to be better than I was yesterday, there is no cap, there is no limit, and there is no, okay, you've done it, you're good. No, I can always do better. I can always work harder. I can always do more. And I feel like when I put the responsibility on me and my performances, it makes a drastic difference in how I'm actually able to go out and perform.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, makes sense for sure. Understandable methodology. I'm kind of curious too, because like there's been a bit more like bare knuckle MMA as of late, and just with you having the experience in bare knuckle boxing and MMA, is that something you would ever be interested in trying at any point, or is it more of like, well, I'd rather just do MMA or bare knuckle boxing, like maybe not intersect the two kind of thing?
You know, I think the best way that I can respond to that is probably logically, and that's if they're going to pay me enough, I'll do it. That's how I feel about most things. You know, everybody's got a price tag, and if you're going to give me a good chunk of change to go out and fight bare knuckle MMA, sure, absolutely. My personal response on what I saw from the bare knuckle MMA is it's basically combat jiu-jitsu. Nobody really nobody really used their striking. Nobody really utilized the stand-up game in the bare knuckle MMA. Everybody took the fight to the ground. It turned into bare knuckle jiu-jitsu, which is basically just jiu-jitsu, which is combat jiu-jitsu, which, you know, but the open hand strikes and whatnot. So anyway, moral of the story is, yeah, if somebody paid me and they asked me to go out there and do it, I'd 100% do it. Is it something that actually interests me, like bare knuckle boxing? No, not so much.
I mean, that's fair. That's kind of why I guess tried to phrase the question the way that I did, where it's like, well, I mean, I'd probably just do MMA or, you know, bare knuckle boxing, like maybe not intersect the two. Yeah,
exactly. That's where I'm at with it. Like I said, if the opportunity arises, sure, you know, why not? But it's not a career focus or a goal focus right now. Right now, I'm focused on gold. I want gold and diamonds around my waist, and that's the career focus. If I go to a new organization, I got to start all over again.
And it seems like from what you're saying, you would like to be fairly active this year, and it seems like they've expanded their schedule where there's like the numbered events and fight nights and like BKFC Thailand and whatnot. Like, do you have a certain amount of fights that you would ideally like to get this year? I imagine the goal is to garner that gold by the end of the calendar year, if you could.
That is absolutely the plan. That is what I would love to happen. But with the way that they've been scheduling my fights, I genuinely don't know what their game plan is. What I can say is the contract that I just signed was for 3 fights, and it's on a 12-month time limit. So the first fight will be April 21st, so I've got essentially 11 months ago. I signed the contract about a month ago, so we'll have 10 and a half, 11 months to finish out those last 2 fights. So holding gold by the end of the year is 100% a possibility. And like I said, that's where I'm at. That's my mentality and my focus is not looking past the situation in front of me, looking at it honestly and realistically, getting through it and getting to the next step.
Absolutely. And to that point, like, what do you see in Bruce Lutchmedial's skill set in terms of, you know, what he's able to do really well from what you've seen from like tape study and things of that nature?
he's elusive, and he's fast. He's got a nice check left hook. He's not afraid to throw his right hand, and he throws it straight, which is important. But outside of that, I really feel like I have all of the advantages. I'm taller, I'm longer, I'm heavier, I'm more experienced. And I think it'll be 8 months since my last fight, when we go out there and fight. But I'm pretty sure he fought right around the time that I did. So we should be out of commission for the same amount of time. That might be the only real advantage that he has on me is, less ring rust, so to speak. But anyway, to get back to Bruce is a talented guy. He's been fighting for a long time. He's been in this game for a long time. And he does have assets that are effective to him. I know he knocked out Will Chope with the right hand. He was hitting Eddie Hope with his check hook and his right hand. He does have tools that I need to be wary of. But I don't know. I'm not lacking in confidence is the best way that I can describe that. He has tools. I am aware of them, but I will still go out there and finish him early.
Yeah, well, I was excited for this fight before talking to you, but definitely bolstering it that much further. I think it's going to be a really good throwdown for sure. But I do want to be mindful of what I presume is a busy schedule for you, Tom. So to that point, is there anything you might want to add as a parting thought as we're wrapping up, man?
Honestly, I would love to say thank you, Dylan. I appreciate you having me on, man, taking the time out to talk to me. I'd love to say thank you to my team and my coach. My team here is Ricardo Cavalcante, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Alpha MMA, down here in Lawton, Oklahoma. My coach, Andy Pierce, and my friends, family, supporters, anybody who's out there who's listening to this, who is taking the time out of their day to listen to me ramble, thank you.
Well, it's going to be a great time on April the 21st there. And yeah, like I said, very much looking forward to when you get out there with Bruce Lutchmedial for that BKFC Fight Night. And thank you so much for coming on the show again and giving some insights, man. You enjoy the rest of your day. And yeah, looking forward to checking out the fight when it goes down.
Thank you very much, Dylan. I'll talk to you soon, man.